Um, I lost everything. I lost my job. I was about to be homeless because I didn't have a place to live. I walked into Red Rocks Community College here in Denver, and I had no clue what I had my GI Bill. That's all I had.
Yeah.
And I thought they were going to make me do something horrible, like become an accountant or something like that. But they were like, "What do you love to do, man?" And I'm like, "I love the outdoors." And they're like, "Well, do you want to be an outdoor guide?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Well, have you ever heard about wilderness therapy?" No. And yeah, I did the same exact thing right there. And I was like, "Wilderness therapy? What the hell is that?" And yeah, they had a whole program, and so I was signed up for it by the end of the day.
It's just great having that warm up though, and it's understanding that like Deke, like you're onto something. You're onto something, and I've been searching for an organization like yours to bring and highlight. And there was a few other people, and after the show, I can share some information, try to connect you, because I think what our veterans truly need is more exposure to the outdoors, more exposure into actually living life rather
Yes.
than more pharmaceuticals, and in conjunction to talk therapy. So Deke, thank you for joining me today. Security Hot Podcast. This is your episode, my man. Let's kick it off, man. Like, tell me about your experience as a veteran.
Hey, well, thank you so much for having me. This is such an honor and privilege. And well, my experience as a veteran, I got out in 2012. I spent 10 years in the Army and did a couple deployments to Iraq. Wasn't as cool as you. I was never in group or anything like that. But I got home and I started doing everything the wrong way.
Yeah.
Not that I'm proud of that whatsoever, but I started drinking. It started because I thought that, we were partying because we came home from Iraq. And it didn't take long to realize that I was drinking on a Tuesday by myself. It felt like the right thing to do. And, I wasn't like having 2 or 3 drinks a night. I was like getting absolutely shit faced and,
Yeah.
until I passed out drunk. And, 2012, I got into a fight and got in trouble with the law. 2014, my drinking continued, and and just not being able to be man enough to say, "Hey, I have a problem," or listen to that little voice inside me that was telling me the whole time that I had a problem. But nobody wants to admit that crap, especially when it comes to alcoholism or any kind of like substance abuse or anything. And 2014, I got divorced. I caused it. My drinking caused it. Just not not willing to, once again, just not willing to accept help, not willing to listen to anybody, even though everybody was screaming at me that I needed help and everything. And I just started spiraling. I knew that I had an issue, or I knew that I had a drinking issue or whatever,
Yeah.
but I didn't know that anything else was going on with me. And even though people were telling me I had PTSD, I honestly thought that, you know, back then, I thought that people were using that as a crutch to get disability
Yeah.
benefits from the VA. And I didn't. In 2017, a couple things happened to me. I was running the security program for the federal police, and I'm out of the military at this point, and one of my employees ended up murdering his spouse, which just kind of threw my world into a whole lot of
Yeah.
shit. And then I also went to Panama for a wedding, and in February of 2017, and what was supposed to be a fun time and everything. Where we were at, they burn all their trash. And so there were big billows of smoke coming up all over the place. And it was Valentine's Day, and they celebrate everything with like black cat fireworks. So there was pop, 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 pop going off all over the city. And I lost it, man. I absolutely lost it. And while everybody was having fun inside and partying, and I mean, we were staying at a place that was Pablo Escobar-esque. It had a pool in the living room, and I mean, just one of the most immaculate places I've gotten a chance to stay at. But while everybody was partying, I was patrolling the perimeter of the place that we were at. And I was finally able to put two and two together after a little while that the only time I had ever felt fear like this was when somebody was literally shooting at me, when somebody was, trying to kill me.
Yeah.
And so, just kind of having my team back in Iraq and, the Army and everything, feeling like you can tell people anything. Or, I mean, I guess I really just needed some help. I needed my team. I needed my people around me or whatever. And so we were with a group of about 14, 15 people, all civilians. And I told them what was going on. I said, hey, guys, I don't know exactly what's going on inside of me, but I think I'm having flashbacks. Just like I said a second ago, the only time I've ever felt fear like this was when somebody was trying to kill me. And that was not the right thing to tell that group because they lost it.
No.
Being a bunch of civilians, they absolutely freaked out. They made me call the suicide prevention hotline, even though we're in Panama, and
not the right way to handle it at all.
No. And I can only speak from my experience with that, but it was absolutely worthless. The person that I got on the other side of the line, I mean, he made things worse. He didn't know what to do. It was like, oh my gosh, I've got a live one. And, while I'm me, the person, I'm in crisis, and I don't know what the hell's going on. And while I was outside calling the suicide prevention hotline, everybody inside, they snuck out the back and they went and stayed elsewhere. They left me home alone to go do whatever I was going to do. And so luckily my girlfriend at the time, she stayed with me, and she made sure that nothing happened to me. We still had a couple days left in the trip. And so, we just tried to stay on the phone, try to call as many people as we could, just try to calm down and relax. And we ended up flying back to the States a couple days later, just hoping that, just being back in the States would do something and, calm me down.
Yeah.
And it didn't, I mean, it had already, I was already full blown at that point. And so about 3 hours after we got back to the States, it was like, let's go to the VA. And so we went to the VA emergency room, and they really didn't have anything for me. They monitored me for a couple hours, and then they gave me enough prescription medication. I think this was on a Friday night, if I remember right. They gave me enough prescription medication to get to primary care or to get to mental health first thing Monday morning. And so, I mean, I'm just, I'm a grown ass man. I'm 36 years old at this time. I'm 42 now, but I'm 36. I'm crying like a little, like a little girl or whatever. I have no reason why I can't get off the couch, why I'm in the fetal position, why I'm absolutely just crippled by this going on. And so my best friend in the world, who was also in Iraq with me, we were roommates at the time, my buddy Dave, him and my girlfriend, they brought me to mental health in that Monday morning, and VA mental health flat out wouldn't see me because I didn't have a claim for PTSD. And
God.
And so I mean, I'm losing it. And I mean, that right there was just like, well, no shit, people are blowing their freaking brains out. Like they've got, they've got all this going on, and you're absolutely losing it. I
Yeah.
didn't have health insurance. I didn't have, I couldn't just go to a civilian. But not only that too, like when you're experiencing a mental health crisis for the first time, I mean, hell, what are the two things that veterans are most scared of? Getting thrown in 72-hour mental health hold and getting their guns taken away, and just all the other things that go along with it. And uh, luckily, actually, one of the patients overheard what was going on that was sitting in the waiting room. And he says, dude, go to primary care. Go to primary care. They'll at least see you. And so sure enough, I did. I made an appointment with primary care. It was like a couple weeks later, but I was able to go in, walk in the door, and there was one amazing VA doctor, Rebecca Almeida. This lady saved my life. She just started doing her normal checkups and everything, and going over questions, and she finally got to the question about PTSD, and I just lost it. I just started crying, just nonstop. And her nurse knocked on her door every 30 minutes when her appointment showed up, and she just said, cancel it, cancel it, cancel it. And I sat in her office for probably 4 or 5 hours, and until the end of the day, and she had to go home. And
That's a great provider right there, man.
oh my gosh, yeah. So she continued to see me just like every other week, just until I could get some sort of help. And it finally took 8 months to walk through the door of mental health at the VA. And once I was finally able to walk through the door of mental health, then all of a sudden, they give me some mental health provider, therapist that this lady's got a different color hair every time I see her. She's 22, 23 years old, fresh out of college.
Yep.
And it first thing we do is we've got to work on a safety plan, and it takes us 10 weeks on top of this 8 months that I've already waited to come up with our safety plan. And finally, after week 10, I finally lost it on her, and I was like, when are we going to start working on anything? Like, I'm having active flashbacks here. Like, I'm losing it. I can't function. And so finally we start working on it, and it took about 10 minutes to get into the phone call, or not phone call, 10 minutes to start getting into my trauma and everything, that I could see the fear in her eyes, that she realized that she was on level 3 as a therapist, and I was on level 76 as a freaking patient. And then they started reducing my I'm sorry, my brain.
No, you're good. Here at Security Halt, we are very familiar with that. This episode is brought to you by TBI. TBI. You're welcome for GWOT. Dude, don't worry about it. Don't even apologize. There's so many times that I've experienced the same thing. And in the back of my mind, you if you are listening and you've seen my YouTube videos, you can probably realize the look in my face when, like, dear God, I zoned out and I don't remember what my guest was just talking about. It happens to all of us, man.
Right? I love that.
But it's true, man. Oftentimes, and it's not. Look, I get it. Everybody has to graduate and start somewhere. You're a mental health provider. You're eager, and the VA hires a lot of these young providers, but they're not the best.
No,
you were part of. We had the surge in that time period. So the vast majority of our veterans from GWOT, and it doesn't matter what MOS, it doesn't matter what you did. If you experienced something traumatic and it changed you at your core, and you're carrying this trauma, when you sit down in front of somebody, they have to be trained. They have to have some ability to be able to help guide, coach you through this experience, and using the right techniques with the right procedures to help you.
Well, That's it right there. And, like, as I'm going through all this stuff, personally and everything, I just couldn't help but to think over and over and over, no shit, veterans are freaking, uh, uh, they're trying to get it to stop,
Yeah.
like they can't get it to stop. And, um, and then just exactly that, there's so much bureaucracy with the VA. There's so much turnover with the VA. Like I was just about to start saying, they started shortening my appointment times from an hour to
Yep.
a half hour. And then, my weekly appointments started to be biweekly. And then it started to be monthly. And, like when you're going through mental health issues, you don't need help tomorrow, next week, next month. You need help right now. And,
Yeah.
like now if you start reducing appointment times and start scheduling them farther out, it looks great on statistics when the VA sends it up to Washington, D.C. and it says, oh,
Yeah.
we're serving 4 times more veterans, but the quality of care has actually
Yeah.
dropped dramatically.
Everybody gets 15 minutes now.
And yeah,
and,
absolutely. And by
and
the
after
time
you do your inpatient arrival intake forms, you've got 5 minutes.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and then not only that, then they're like, all right, let's get into this. And, they make you start talking about some shit that you really don't want to talk about.
Yep.
And then they're like, well, time's
Time to
up.
go.
Yeah, see you later. We'll see you
Yeah.
next month
Yeah.
or
On the
whatever.
way out, please press the button and get your pills.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well,
Yeah.
and I mean, now let's talk about that,
Yeah.
because I was that veteran that was carrying that, that was taking, 20, 25 pills a day. And I mean, I know a lot of veterans are on even more than that or whatever. And, all that's doing is masking the pain. All it is doing, it is not treating the root cause of the pain whatsoever.
Yeah.
All it's doing is putting a Band-Aid on it. That that trauma is still inside. It's still festering inside. And all it takes is, just like my experience in Panama, just one, just one thing to bring it right back out.
It's so
or
true.
whatever. And
Deke,
then you're in
it's so true, man. It's for those that haven't experienced it. There's a lot, and we were all there. I've said ignorant things in my youth. I was there as a young man saying this doesn't exist. This is stupid. Whatever. I'm harder. I'm better than this. This isn't going to happen to me. And
Yeah.
it's that young man hubris. We all sit there and we all downplay it. We all talk bad about it until you experience that one incident. All it takes is to have that one situation that throws you off your rocker, and then you realize, oh wait, I'm a human being.
until it runs over you like a freight train.
Yeah.
And, like me personally, I found out that, there is something so much bigger than me going on right here. And I can't do this myself. I can't do it myself. I can't fight these demons, and, it kills me hearing about all my brothers and sisters that are taking their lives out there. And it sucks getting those phone calls, it's just like, son of a bitch. And, like you can see it, like now that I've experienced it, you can see it in your brothers and sisters. And, that saying about, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink is, I'm finding that, to be the absolute truth. But, that's why, well, and, I just wanted to say something about medication as well. Like they're putting all of us on medication and they're just masking the pain. But, this medication that they're putting us on, it's not like an aspirin. It's not like something where you just take it and the pain goes away. This is something that has to build up in your system for, months at a time sometimes. A lot of times that, your doctor doesn't tell you, you can't just quit this cold turkey. You can't, you can't, you have to be weaned off of it. So you've got all these people that are going up on this big medication roller coaster. And then whatever happens, like you just can't get your refill renewed because it's the VA and nothing goes easy,
Or if there's a shortage in medication.
Absolutely.
I experienced that. I experienced that firsthand.
Now you just fell off this medication cliff. And this isn't like an aspirin, like we just said. These are hardcore psychoactive drugs.
Yep.
Well, what did we all learn? How did we all learn how to cope in the military? With alcohol. And so, and not only that, it's so socially acceptable. And I'm not trying to get on my high horse or anything like that.
No, it's true.
But
You're speaking the truth, brother.
oh
Keep
yeah, but
going.
alcohol is a depressant, and like you're trying to treat depression with a depressant, and it doesn't work. So you're crashing off all this medication. You're trying to cure depression with a depressant, and it only takes one bad day of really feeling bad about yourself, and like we've all been wasted and feeling sorry about ourselves, and just those intrusive thoughts about suicide start coming up, and I'm so sick and tired of hearing about another veteran doing it, and like there's always some sort of substance abuse involved, the amount of substance abuse involved. But that's like what I'm trying to do as an organization. I had some amazing. Well, so after I hit rock bottom, and my employee murdered his spouse, and I'm going through all this stuff. It was February 6th of 2018, Super Bowl Sunday. Went out and had a couple beers, and I got pulled over, and
Oh
I got a
no.
DUI.
Oh.
However, that was the absolute best thing that ever happened to me in my life. I woke up February 7th in a jail cell, which February 7th also happens to be my alcoholic dad's birthday, who died a couple years ago. He was not a good person, uh, but it was also the day that, like, the morning that I woke up and I realized that I can never have a drop of alcohol again.
Yeah.
I lost everything. I lost my job. I was about to be homeless because I didn't have a place to live. Uh, and I walked into Red Rocks Community College here in Denver, and I had no clue what I had my GI Bill. That's all I had.
Yeah.
And I thought they were going to make me do something horrible, like become an accountant or something like that. But they were like, "What do you love to do, man?" And I'm like, "I love the outdoors." And they're like, "Well, do you want to be an outdoor guide?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Well, have you ever heard about wilderness therapy?" And I'm like, "No." And yeah, I did, and I did the same exact thing right there. And I was like, "Wilderness therapy? What the hell is that?" And yeah, they had a whole program, and so I was signed up for it by the end of the day. And so here I am, 36 years old. I'm about to go back to college. I'm experiencing all kinds of things inside that are completely new and foreign. And but like I started going to school, and I started having some incidents. I think a lot of us college. A lot of us veterans do when we're thrown back in with kids and college professors. And
Oh, I know.
yeah,
I'm still in school, and I
yeah,
deal with it every friggin' week.
yes, yeah. Well, I may have
I feel
talked
like
to
Billy Madison every day.
yes, yes, absolutely. I had to talk to 6 deans while I was in school. I think I set the record for the college. I don't know if they have any
Nice.
official stats, but I want that record. I want my plaque.
Uh,
Uh, but so I had a couple incidents, and so I'm telling my therapist about this,
yeah.
and she's like, "Deke, have you ever been treated for a brain injury before?" She was my therapist for PTSD,
Yeah.
and I was like, "No, never been treated for it." And she's like, "Well, you've had them, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, I had some blasts go off next to me in Iraq, and not to mention just all this stupid shit that we did when we were drunk, like, kick each other down the stairs in a wall locker filled with pillows because it seems like the right thing to do on a Friday night, or the stupid
Well,
shit
you
our
have Fort
stores
Bragg.
do. Maybe Benning,
This sounds oddly familiar.
right? Right?
Ugh.
But she turned me on to this place called the Marcus Institute for Brain Health at the University of Colorado Anschutz, and so I called them up. They do their interviews, and they say, "Hey, could you come in and do some testing?" Yeah, and I do. And so right off the bat, they said, hey, they're like, hey, we're finding that the left side of your brain is no longer communicating with the right side of your brain anymore. The neurotransmitters have been broken in there. And it was like, okay, rad. And they're like,
I win, right?
yeah, yeah. But they were like, when you're walking down a hallway, do you like run into the wall like you're drunk? And I'm like, yeah, but I haven't had a drink since 2018. And they're like, well, that's because your vestibular in your ear was also jacked up, and your balance is a foot and a half to the left of the rear. And you know, even like the questionnaires on the forms they made you fill out. You know, I always remember one question was like, "Are you an impulse buyer?" And it's like, "Yeah, why?" Well, come to find out, these are all
Bing.
symptoms of TBIs.
Yes.
Exactly. And
Yes.
so,
And I want to pause right there because this is something that I'm absolutely passionate about, because you don't realize how far you can, as a human being that have lived with this stuff, you adjust to it. You think you're fine. You think you're operating at normal levels, but you're not. And that's one of the hardest things I have when speaking to other veterans and telling them to get themselves checked out. Going to the Marcus Brain Institute, going to all these other facilities, all these other great providers are out there. I'm telling you guys, it's been written, it's been studied. It every single day I talk about this with somebody, whether it's on this show or one of the other shows that I produce. The signature injury of our GWOT era is traumatic brain injuries.
yes.
We think that, oh, I didn't have anything penetrate my head. I didn't get shot in the head. I wasn't involved in an actual IED blast. I wasn't in a rollover. Hey, that's great. You were a mortarman? Were you an artilleryman? Were you in combat? Did you shoot your rifle? Did you shoot a Carl Gustav? Did you shoot an AT-4? Were you near anything that went boom? Or even then, were you part of a special operations community? Were you part of some operational group that deployed downrange and saw combat? And was your brain rattled at some point? And you have to take account your exposure as a kid.
Yeah.
In football and wrestling and all those other things. And that's why, like, when you probably never even thought that there was anything wrong with your head.
No.
Just like all of us.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Until, you know, like I started realizing that none of my friends and family wanted anything to do with me because I was an asshole, and, you know, I would just snap at them for no reason. But that was another thing that was amazing about this Marcus Institute for Brain Health is they were like, hey, Deke, your brain is just like bandwidth with a computer. Normal person has 100%. You have 50%. You operate just fine in the 0 to 50% range. But when you cross over that 50% range, when you start getting overwhelmed, you know, that's when you lose it. That's when easy tasks become hard. That's when you know that you used to be able to do these easy tasks, but it becomes even more frustrating because you can't do it anymore. I will
That's
never.
going to be a clip. That's right there. Pause, clip that. That's going to be on social media for an entire friggin' week because guys don't understand. And now on the backside, just like me and anybody else, but you can recall all the times where you're like, holy shit. No wonder when things got a little bit elevated, I was just a fucking asshole.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Heck yeah. Well, and you know, so I went through that Marcus Institute, and this is January of 2020. This is right before COVID. Actually, all of my classes, I went over Christmas break, and so I'm about to go back to school. All of my classes canceled a couple days right before I'm supposed to go back to school. And there was this outdoor industry small business entrepreneurship certificate that I had absolutely no intention on taking, but all my classes canceled. And it was either figure out something to do for the whole semester or just suck it up and take that class. So I was like, fine, I'm just going to suck it up and do it. And first day of this class, they get in there. It's a business class, so they make you make a fake business. So I made veterans exploration therapy, and it wasn't long after I started getting pulled aside by the instructors saying, like, dude, you need to do this. Like, we get all kinds of businesses coming through here that there's just no legitimate way that, like, they don't have funding for it. They don't have anything for it. But like, you need to do this. And so, of course, I'm making every excuse in the book for why I can't, and telling myself,
I can't do it.
yeah,
It's not realistic. No one's going to be able to, no one wants to do this. Yeah.
exactly. And so I said, well, you know what if I just follow along while they're teaching us how to do all these business filings and write business plans and everything? Like, if I just did it for real and, see what happens. And so as I'm going through the semester, I got all the, but this is a business class and it was a nonprofit to start. And then class is over, and I keep telling my friends and everything, oh, I'm going to start this awesome nonprofit up, and everything. But how many of your friends have told you they've got this big grand idea and then they never do it? And so it literally started getting to the point where it's like, well, I better put up or shut up, like I've been talking about this for a minute, or whatever. And so I like I said, I tried to make every excuse for why I can't do it. I literally went out and got a job in the outdoor industry when I got out of school to, I thought I was going to be an outdoor guide. And I also used to think that everybody who said that the universe told me to do something, I used to think that they were batshit crazy, until it started happening to me. And like every time I turn a corner, somebody would say, well, what if I did this? Would it get you going? Could, would this help out? And it's like, yeah. And, but so I guess I should talk about like what we're doing as an organization.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's funny that, before the show started, we were talking about your sister and her starting a business from the ground up. And, this is exactly what happened here. This is literally the American dream. I borrowed the $50 filing fee for the organization because I didn't have it. I'm poor too. I come from nothing, and everything. But I just realized that, like us veterans, you don't need, when you're having an emergency, you don't need help tomorrow, the next week, or sure as hell next month. You need it right now. Yep. And so many of us have fallen through the cracks of the VA, the system, here's a pill, hope you're better, and all that being said, since 2001, 125,000 plus veterans have committed suicide. That's more than the Vietnam War, Gulf War, Iraq and Afghanistan, Somalia, all of these conflicts that we've had, since the Vietnam War. That's more that's almost double the combat related deaths. And so what we're doing as an organization is we're using adventure as a catalyst to reach those veterans. Just like we were saying a minute ago, like I didn't come from money. I didn't, could never afford these rad things to do when I was a kid. But there were so many things that like I wanted to do and everything. And not only that, like so many rad things that we used to do as a kid. And then life happens, if we become adults, we get married, we have kids, and, next thing you know, you don't have the means necessary to go skiing anymore or whatever, because it's stupid expensive.
It becomes all the things you used to love and use for your own like recreational therapy just gets shuffled to the back burner, and then from the back burner it gets cooled off, and then you forget about it, never get back into it.
Exactly. And so we're using adventure as a catalyst. We're to reach veterans and their families. I really, really believe that the healing starts at home. And just from my experience, what I've done unintentionally to my own family, just, I've given them trauma. Our depression is contagious, and it wears off on everybody around us. And there's so few resources out there for them, and they get burnt out after dealing with our shit over and over and over, that, at some point they say, screw this, I'm out. And, and then, and a lot of times then, divorces, and then you've got the government and every, like, don't get me going about the divorce process. And
not easy.
No. And then especially like if there's kids involved, and there's, and then now you've got child custody issues, and, they always say it, the most dangerous person is somebody with nothing to lose. And when you take everything away from somebody, that's when it's so socially acceptable to, what do you do when you have a bad day? Go have a couple beers
Yep.
or whatever.
And it's part of us, like it's part of the warrior culture, and it
Absolutely.
shouldn't be. But I mean, I wasn't a huge drinker prior to getting in the military, but I mean, once you're at Fort Bragg, like that was it. That's what you did. It was so like you're off work, well, we're gonna drink, and there's a pause, and you don't have to be. Let's all go out. And it just looking back, it's like, man, we could have had greater outlets.
Yes.
Um, but you know what? Like now, the beautiful thing about living in the moment and being in this present moment right now is we can advocate for a different uh, type of life. We can advocate for everything else but drinking. And that's what I love about your program. You're getting people outside to experience, like we said before we started, experience awe in a healthy way, in a new environment. And what better state to do it than Colorado? I mean, yes, I get it. Not everybody's going to agree with the politics, but regardless of that, Colorado is one of the most beautiful places where adventure is literally a drive away. Whether you're going skiing, where you're going skydiving, or you're going in the Rocky Mountain National Park, there are so many things you can do in the outdoors, and that's what's beautiful. You open up your windows and you're staring into the Rocky Mountains, and it's just like, man, like, what are some of the things you guys are doing out there with your program?
So we're literally doing anything from hiking to skydiving and everything in between. We're going
Hell yeah.
skydiving on September 8th, week and a half away or whatever. But, back in February, we went snorkeling in the Denver Aquarium.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. Oh, man, it was epic. And in November, we're going shark diving there too. So we don't have a beach here in Colorado, so got to improvise a little bit.
Well, you got an amazing aquarium. I still remember it from visiting when I was a younger guy out there. But man, yeah, that's just one hell of an outing.
Oh, and it's so cool too because you're literally swimming in the exhibit, and people who are going there to visit, it's like the zoo. They're waving at you, and you're waving back at them while you're
Oh,
cruising around in there. We've been doing rock climbing all summer, paddleboarding. Oh gosh, I'm trying. We've got a whole list of things that we're constantly doing. Of course, my mind is drawing a blank. Brought to you by TBI.
so it's
But
fair to say that within the area, you're getting a lot of support from organizations and individuals, right?
you know, we're doing our best. We're doing our best. Now that we're actually starting to become something, we're starting to make a name for ourselves. We're starting to get some sponsorships coming in. We're starting to bring more veterans in. Last year we ran 16 programs and we served 156 veterans.
Nice.
This year we've already run 25 programs. We're on pace we're going to run over 40, and we're going to serve over 400 veterans this year and their family members.
Nice.
And that's why we're not just focusing in on like survival skills or
Yeah.
rock climbing or something like that, because I'm fully aware that I'm never going to get some people on the side of a mountain, but I may be able to get them to go rock, or I'm never going to get them to go rock climbing, but I may get them to go hiking,
Yeah.
or I may get them to go paddleboarding, something that, hey, if like if you have mobility issues, like hiking or, just getting around can be very hard, but paddleboarding, there's so many awesome things that you can still do to get out. And not only that, just by getting outside, it
Yep.
releases all kinds of endorphins and oxytocin in your brain, and it literally makes you happy.
Yep.
Like we were talking beforehand, before the show started, studies are finding that it's not material possessions that bring us happiness. Especially all of us veterans who are all gear guys and
Yeah.
gals.
Yeah.
I mean, we all have our gear rooms, and
Guilty.
yeah, right? But like, yeah, all that stuff is rad and it makes you feel all good inside. But it's the memories, it's the
Yep.
experiences that bring happiness when it comes to your mental health. And so that's what we're just trying to do. We're just trying to get vets out into the wilderness with their family, creating new memories, teaching them how to recreate properly and safely in the wilderness. Because if you don't know how to do it,
Yep.
it can be dangerous. Of course, recreating in the wilderness can be dangerous. But hey, that's why you have professional outdoor guides that
Yep.
mitigate the risk, and teach you how to do it properly. So we're teaching them how to recreate properly and safely in the wilderness. And then once we get them out in the wilderness, that's our opportunity. I understand that therapy is in our name, but we're not doing any one-on-one or group therapy or anything like that. But what we're doing on the back end of things is making sure that our veterans that are in need of any kind of care are getting to the proper resources in the community that aren't necessarily the VA. Like for me, it's the Marcus Institute for Brain Health. Those people absolutely changed my life. They can't fix those broken neurotransmitters that were broken. However, they can create new ones, and it's life changing.
They're doing amazing work, and they're literally bringing guys and gals back from the brink of death. That's not an exaggeration. Just look at your own journey, how long you were dealing with that out there in the world with no guidance, no information, nobody championing the idea that, hey, go get your brain checked out, because we don't think of it. We tend to think that a brain injury or anything going on in here can only get damaged if there's a bullet or a blast impact that's notable and huge. And the reality is no, a vast majority of our veterans from GWOT are experiencing the same things that we're talking about right now, and they need to get their head pieces checked out. And there's nothing scary about it. You're just reaching out, asking for information.
That's it. 1,000,000%. And the second that you can pinpoint what's going on is also the second that you can come up with a plan of action to fix it. Like the second that they told me, like, hey, your vestibular in your ear is messed up and this is why you do this. It's like, oh, I'm not a freak. And
you've got some answers.
Yeah. Well, and especially when you're going through mental health crises, and like, you do think that it's incredibly scary. It's the most scary thing in the freaking world.
Yeah.
And not only that, there's a stigma on PTSD, and other people are scared about it. They think you're going to go shoot up a high school or something like that. And it's like anything. It's like, hey, if you wait till stage 4 cancer, like, it's going to be pretty devastating and everything like that.
Yeah.
But if you reach it early, there's mitigation techniques. Like, let's not try to put the forest fire out when it's at 500,000 acres. That's why I think that these 988 numbers suck.
Yeah.
These suicide prevention hotlines suck, because if you have to wait until you're all the way up here to get help, like, it's like trying to put a wildfire out when it's reached 500,000 acres.
Exactly.
Well, why don't you try to attack the fire when you see the smoke rising above the trees, when it's just starting, when we can see the signs and symptoms, opposed to waiting until it's just a all out raging wildfire. And now we just have to,
it takes out the entire front range.
exactly. And hope that it burns itself out. It's
you see every year in Northern Colorado.
Absolutely. We just had a couple weeks ago where the state caught on fire again.
Oh, I know. I get the messages from my sisters, like, well, pray for us.
Heck
yeah. Deke, where can we go to find out more about your organization?
www.vetxtherapy.org. Google Veterans Exploration Therapy. We're on social media, Instagram, Facebook, the letter X therapy.org. Is a small organization. Please like us, share us. Please come out with us. If you're a veteran, if you are, we very loosely word family members as well, because we all learned that you don't have to be blood to be family. That's right. So, if you have a good friend that wants to come out with you on one of these trips, all of them are free. That's what I do behind the scenes, is I hustle my ass off trying to make these free, because as soon as you put a price tag on it, there's a whole lot of veterans out there that may not be able to afford it, or it may not be accessible to them. So everything is free. All you got to do is sign up and show up.
Heck yeah, we love that, man. And if you guys pause, go to the episode description, all the handles, all the information for how to get a hold of Deke and his organization, Veteran Exploration Therapy, will be there. And if you just pause and see right here on the screen on YouTube, you'll see the links. So please go there, donate today, because there's nothing better than being able to get veterans outdoors to experience some amazing real world. So please do your part to support Deke and the rest of his crew. Brother, thank you so much for being here today. I am excited to see where this is going to grow, and I look forward to amplifying and sharing everything you guys post, and I can't wait for this episode to air, man.
Hey, thank you so much for this opportunity. This has been such an honor, and yeah, thank you so much. It's truly a
Absolutely,
pleasure.
brother. Yeah, to all y'all listening, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you all next time. Until then, take care.